Hello everybody, welcome to the Alternative Voice podcast hosted by Provisions Plus. I'm Jade and Brown and I'll be interviewing a number of our approved training providers to give you more of an insight into their journey in alternative provision. Hi everybody, welcome back to the Alternative Voice podcast with Provisions Plus. Today we have Richard joining us from CBWA, which is Central Building and Welding Academy. So hello Richard, thank you for joining us.
Hello Jade, it's a pleasure.
Thank you so much for coming along. So you're here today to talk about alternative provision and around the approach that CBWA take. So just going to ask some questions if that's okay.
That's okay, yeah.
So could you start by sort of telling us a little bit about your role with CBWA and about CBWA as an organisation?
Yeah, of course, yeah. So I'm the centre manager at CBWA, so that'd be like an education manager in a college, so to speak. And we provide, as a centre, we provide training solutions for local authorities, employers, the general public, adult learners that want to sort of retrain and things like that. But as far as alternative provision goes, we have two areas of the business that deal with that. We have the pre-16 academy, and we've now sort of recently developed a post-16 academy.
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? Sort of the progress. So I've worked with CBWA for a really long time now, and that progress of now having both a pre and a post-16 offer is brilliant because it just shows the development of the organisation and sort of the impact that you're having on young people across more of a stretch of sort of age groups, really. So what is it that you focus on within that delivery for, if we start with the pre-16?
So the pre-16, I originally got to grips with the pre-16 from a quality assurance point of view. So we put a quality assurance framework in there a few years ago now, about 3 years ago. Changed awarding body. So I initially dealt with that side of things. But I worked with staff and developed staff in that side of the business, and now they're self-sufficient. So I don't do that now. I'm more on so I deal more with the local authorities quality framework, if you like. So it's a little bit different now.
Yeah. So, and what's the delivery focus for the young people?
In the pre-16, we do a level 1 basic skills in construction course. It's accredited by City and Guilds. I call it a multi-skills course because it's a bit of everything. They'll come in, they'll learn how to lay bricks. They'll do a bricklaying element to the course. They'll do a tiling element to the course. They'll do plastering. They'll do, did I say carpentry? They'll do carpentry. Yeah. And there's other units they can put in there as well if they need to. They might end up doing a little bit of plumbing if necessary. And basically the qualification is quite a wide qualification. It incorporates a lot of different trades. Yeah. And it really depends on the teaching staff you've got in there of what they put onto that course, if you like. You know, I mean, currently our John, our tutor, he delivers a lot of bricklaying. He's a carpenter, so he delivers a lot of carpentry. Yeah, tiling. He's in, he likes all that as well. So that gets put in there. You usually find where the tutor's passion is, and where their background is. That's what they'll teach on the multi-skills.
It's amazing because it really does, with it being multi-skills, it really does give the young people like an opportunity to have a taster in lots of different areas though, doesn't it? Yeah. And I suppose with there's quite a flexible approach. So obviously in AP it's all about being tailored to the young person anyway, but with this qualification it allows you that flexibility. So if a student, for example, really gets on very well and they've got a strength in a particular area, then you can allow them to do more units in that area, can't you?
Yeah, there's a number of ways to stretch and challenge in that respect. We can sort of, as you say, we can put as many units on as that qualification allows us, so we can sort of stretch it out that way. We can also put in other tasks. So if you've got a young person particularly who loves bricklaying, even if on that course they've done all the units, we can put different stretch and challenge tasks in that are probably stepping stones, maybe if they want to go and do a level 2 or something like that. Yeah. So we can get the ball rolling like that, and that can be in any of the trades really. So that's one of the nicest of it, if you
I
like,
love
of
that. Yeah.
delivering that qualification.
And also, so you just mentioned sort of progressing onto a level two, which for a long time, unfortunately, that wasn't really a possibility, because we knew that obviously students that were with you with pre-16, they were working towards their level one. And then there wasn't a post-16 because for a really long time, there hasn't
Yeah.
been the funding available for post-16. However, we now are working with training providers across the network. And I know that some of our training providers are offering post-16 alternative provision programs because of the funding that's attached through EHCPs.
Yeah.
So you're one of those training providers, and you are now offering a post 16 opportunity, which is amazing, because that means that some of the pre 16 learners that you're working with then are given that opportunity, instead of having to finish with you and then maybe go to college or another setting that may not be as appropriate or suitable for them. They're now presented the opportunity to stay on with you or to progress onto that level two for post 16. So, can you talk a little bit about what that, because that offer is slightly different to the pre 16. So, can you talk a little bit about what that looks like?
Yeah, the post 16's a great addition to our curriculum. We
This
love
is
it.
your baby as well, isn't it,
Yeah,
at the moment?
it's something I was in on the very
Yeah,
start. So it's been, so from the, I suppose from the success we've had with the pre-16, we've been trusted with the
yeah,
post-16,
yeah,
which is nice. And that allows us then, as you say, really, it sort of broadens our curriculum. It gives us the opportunity to take those learners that probably wouldn't have had a chance to do a level two, maybe in a college or
yeah,
anywhere like that. It gives us the opportunity, and it gives them the opportunity to, in very small groups, to work with them and to sort of develop them onto a level two course. And and I think that's critical, because we're always looking at next steps, aren't we?
absolutely.
So
Yeah,
next steps is and often this is where our alternative provision learners often fall through the net. What do they
absolutely.
do after that?
Yeah,
Level one, which suits them.
yeah,
Well, luckily we've got the level two now, so that's massive for us, and it's great for the learners, because it gives them that opportunity to really get into really hone their skills, particularly in areas of training that they love.
yeah,
So when they've got the passion, that's the time to get them.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
Bring them in on it like that. We,
yeah,
as I like to say, we want square pegs in square holes.
mm-hmm.
And that's the most important thing.
Yeah,
And if we can do that, I think what it does is it sets them up, and it gives them the confidence to then start looking for jobs,
yeah,
which,
absolutely.
to be
That
quite honest, is quite it's quite a leap from where they probably were
when they
when they
started.
first met us, maybe at 14, 15 years
Yeah,
old. Suddenly at 16, we're seeing them till they're 17 plus. Then with a level two, you're starting to see people really develop
yeah.
over them years
It's
and
amazing, isn't it? What a
mature.
journey.
It's lovely.
Yeah,
That's probably the most rewarding part of the job, to be honest. You
yeah,
start to see the development, and of course speaking to the parents as well, which is
yeah,
always nice when we do the annual reviews and things like
yeah.
that. And
That's lovely, because you're getting their opinion on how things are going and the progress that their child's making, because ultimately the impact that you're having on these young people affects their everything. So
yeah,
it affects how they are at home, it affects
yeah.
relationships with parents and carers. So that's really something special about that, so that you are then getting that direct feedback from the parents and carers as well in the annual reviews. So
And they need it. The parents need it. They've very often had, I don't know, the best part of 10 years of
I
negative
knew you were going to say
reports,
that. Yeah.
and it is soul destroying for them.
Yeah.
And and your heart goes out to them, and they're anxious, many of them, on the reviews, and to be told positives,
Yeah.
it's completely night and day to what they're used to. So that's a lovely side of it.
Yeah, no, that is
That's a
really
real nice
nice.
side of the job.
And it's really good as well for you to be a part of those annual reviews. Well, you actually lead on them, don't you?
Yeah,
So,
I do know. Yeah,
and it's really good for that, for as an AP setting, to be a part of those annual reviews, because quite often throughout the journey of education, AP can be being accessed. So obviously, for your pre-16 that students may come to you. They may be going to school 4 days a week, and they
yeah,
come to you for one day a week. And quite often, AP is missed out of where there are sort of team around the child meetings or feedback,
Yeah.
it's quite often forgotten about from an AP point of view. And that could be one of the only settings where a child is doing particularly well, they're striving, they're getting very positive feedback. But unfortunately, it's just the case that actually, more often than not, that
Yeah.
feedback's not taken into those
Yeah.
meetings. So the fact that you're then leading on those annual reviews is brilliant, because you're bringing all of that experience from their journey and how well they are doing. It's just a game changer, isn't it? It's
I think it
special.
is. I think it is. It's sometimes there's a jigsaw, isn't there, of how somebody's life is, and
Yeah.
we're a part of it.
Yeah.
And very often, some of the elements in that jigsaw aren't always positive.
Hmm.
So if we can put some positivity into it
Yeah. Yeah.
when it's due, and only then, uh, then then that makes a big difference, and
Yeah.
we start then to get a rounded picture of what that individual's like, and we can sort of then work on from there,
Yeah.
which is nice.
No,
Yeah.
that's brilliant. So your post 16 offer then is for students that have EHCPs.
Yeah.
Um, and generally, your referrals come from the local authorities,
Yes.
from send services, obviously, that have agreed the funding. And you offer a 3-day provision,
Yes, we do at the moment.
which
Yeah.
has your vocation, obviously. So is that the multi skills qualification as well?
Yeah,
Level 2.
it's the level 1 basic skills in construction
Okay.
for those with no construction experience or training.
Yeah.
Um, and then we do a level 2 maintenance operations
Brilliant.
qualification, which is basically a step up from the basic skills in construction.
Yeah.
And I'm working with the council now to try and get standalone level 2 courses as well,
Brilliant.
which is a little, we hopefully we will get that, because
Yeah.
it's, although it's not progression as in level from the maintenance operations, it's progression as in a specialism.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's about getting somebody to work at that higher level with, say, a maintenance operations course,
Yeah.
and then they then have a real good idea of what they want to do. So then those that weren't sure at that point,
Yeah.
they take on another multi-skilled course, if you like, in the level 2 maintenance ops. Usually, I think after that, I've had 3 out of the 4 that I spoke to last month wanted to do standalone level 2s with us in
Wow.
September.
Okay.
So I'm just talking with the council about that now.
Brilliant. So, and that will be hopefully for the new academic year.
Yeah, I'd like to think so.
Yeah,
Yeah, we
that's
we
what a
hope
good
so. Yeah,
opportunity. Yeah.
really good opportunity for
Yeah.
them. Yeah.
And then obviously it's also got core curriculum embedded into the offer. So you deliver English and maths functional skills as well, don't you, alongside the vocation?
Yeah, I mean it's approximately 16 hours a week. The course is including functional skills, so
Yeah.
that's it. We've got a functional skills tutor that works with them in small groups, more one-on-one actually this year with
Yeah.
them, really, in that area, which is obviously a very difficult area to teach our customer base.
Yeah.
It's something that, to be fair, it's mixed actually. Some don't mind it, most don't really want to be in there,
Yeah, of
most don't want to
course.
do it. So that, for me, that transition in how we get them in there without bringing back all the old anxieties
That's the thing,
and
isn't
all
it?
that, we
Yeah.
don't, that's the hard bit,
Yeah,
really.
because
Yeah.
a lot of these students as well may not have been engaged with education for some time before actually
Yeah.
coming to you.
Yeah.
So I know that some of your referrals that have been with you this academic year actually hadn't been engaged with school for
Yeah.
quite a significant amount of time.
Yeah.
So it does bring back those anxieties and those feelings that they have. It's not just a school setting, is it? Like,
No.
obviously you're not a school setting, but taking them back into a classroom can be a trigger for a lot of the young people. So the fact that you're managing to get them in there and engage in some capacity
Yeah.
is brilliant anyway, isn't it?
Yeah, I think with it, you've got to be grateful for the small wins with the
Yeah.
functional skills. I really do, and trying to make it as as relevant to construction as you
Yeah.
can is probably the key,
Yeah.
because we try and link it into what their aims and ambitions are. So if
Yeah.
they want to, they may want to have their own business one day or something like that. Well, we can sell it to them like that.
Yeah.
How to write a quote out. You're going to need maths and English for that. And we try and make it relevant in that sense. So we do our best with it.
Yeah.
But
No,
it's
that's
it's
good.
it's an ongoing battle, isn't it, for all
Yeah.
for all alternative provision providers,
Yeah,
I suppose.
absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then obviously you offer, like you said earlier, you offer adult courses as well. So, and you're always very busy with your adult
Yeah.
courses, aren't you? However, it's important to mention that obviously your pre-16 and your post-16 AP students are never educated with your adult learners either, are they?
No, that's right. No, the pre-16s have got their own enclosed area, if you like, that's in
Yeah,
the middle of the building, but it's so you can't, members of the public just can't go in there.
yeah,
It's locked up. Yeah, so they can't associate with them in that sense. Post-16s, they've got their own classroom,
yeah,
well, workshop really. They've got their little functional skills room as well, and a little restroom where they sit, and that's not for the adult learners either. They're in
yeah,
close proximity to them, the post-16 learners are,
yeah,
because it would be similar to having an adult on a college course with young
yeah,
people.
absolutely.
It's not, but they are not taught with them directly.
Yeah.
You'd have, no, no.
Yeah. So obviously now you are still working with Provisions Plus, and I've come out and obviously we've been working quite closely on your quality and stuff, but you are still working with local authorities as well, which is amazing. That's a really good place to be for your framework. How have you found the relationship with Provisions Plus? Have you found that useful, obviously, with us taking sort of a deep dive into the quality aspects of your provision? You mentioned earlier about your quality assurance framework.
Yeah, it really does. For me, it's the equivalent to having a friendly audit from an external
I love that.
organisation.
I really like
Uh,
that.
I won't say Ofsted because nobody likes the sound of that, do they? Ofsted.
Yeah, everybody goes into
so
meltdown.
it's good. It's great in that sense. Actually, it's from my point of view, I can ask you questions. I can show you what I've got, and
Yeah,
you can feed back to me ideas about how to get it just right for how the local authorities require it under the our contract, I suppose.
yeah.
So for me, it's a really good steer in my in the right direction for the quality. And there's if you've not been in this sort of provision, so to speak,
Yeah.
for a long time, it really does. It really is helpful. It sort of shines a light on what I need
I think,
to be working on a lot of the time, and gives me that little action plan sometimes just to go
yeah.
off, work on, and get it sorted, sort
Yeah,
of thing.
I
So
think it's difficult sometimes, isn't it? Because when, like in most organisations, alternative provision organisations, there's one person that's obviously overseeing all of the quality, and the quality for what one framework might require, and then what another framework might
mm,
require, and then external partners, it all looks so different. So I think that's a lot of pressure sometimes for
yeah,
one person to have get your head around all of those different things. Whereas working with Provisions Plus, it just gives you sort of a generalised overview of everything that you may need for all of those different partners and external local authorities and external partners. So it just gives you a sort of sense of direction, but hopefully, well, like you say, that friendly sort of just support so that it can put you in the right direction. So I'm glad that you feel that way about the support that you've received. um we had an amazing insightful conversation last time I was in. So I came in, it was maybe like a month and a half, 2 months ago
yeah,
now, wasn't it? And we were talking, so I actually came in to do your quality phase 2, which was really successful. And within that part of our quality assurance framework, we look at sort of developments and future developments that you want to take, and the direction that you want to take the business in. And we got talking about sort of emotional intelligence, didn't we?
yeah.
And it was, yeah, such an insightful conversation, and we were both sort of really invested in that conversation. So can you talk to us a little bit about the steps and the measures that you're taking to acknowledge the importance of emotional intelligence, and sort of what CBWA are doing to support their young people on that journey?
Okay. So, and I see it with both the pre and post 16.
Yeah,
One of the things I was talking to one of the tutors about not long ago on the pre 16 was on the post 16, should I say, was the importance of getting the young person to have the social skills, if you like, to function
yeah,
with normal people in the workplace
yeah,
is probably the most important thing we can teach. The skills are great, but they're only part of the story.
yeah,
So we really do work on that. So it's about working with people and getting them really to understand, and very often they do, what their struggles are,
yeah,
what their, I won't say limitations, but what do they struggle with? Is it being in a room with lots of people? Is it the noise? Is it, what is it? Whatever it is to that individual, is it a fear of having to write things down, or it could be anything. And we get them to, to feel comfortable with us. We build rapport with the learner. So, and then we work with them on little strategies to improve
Yeah.
or to sort of self-regulate, if you like. So it's okay knowing what makes you anxious, shall we say, but what do you do about it?
Yeah. How
You know?
can we and how can
Yeah.
we
So
support
how
you
can we
with that?
support?
Yeah.
So one of the things we found was quite there's absolutely nothing wrong with telling someone to go and have a walk for 5 minutes
Yeah.
if they're in a stressed state and that's what they like doing.
Yeah. It's
You
all
know,
about
it,
regulation, isn't it? Yeah. And getting yourself
yeah,
back in a
yeah,
situation where you feel that you're able to learn.
yeah.
Yeah.
So we're quite big on that. Go and do what you need to do. Go and do that
Hmm.
for 5 minutes because if you just sit there for 5 minutes, you're doing nothing.
Yeah.
So what you need to do, go and do. Go and get
Yeah.
it out your system, clear your head. It could be as simple as going a walk up and down
Yeah.
for 5 minutes. Things like that. So, but the bigger point and the bigger picture is getting that person to understand what they need to do to regulate themselves. As I say, it could be anything. It's individually based, and that comes in, I think, with a people's self-understanding.
Hmm.
So when you do the reviews, one of the things you ask is what do you want to do? And you'll hear, oh, I want to have my own business. I want to do this. And then all of a sudden you'll get, and I had one on the last review and he says, well, Rich, he says, I'm going to see if I can do the plastering course when I've finished
Oh,
what I'm doing.
wow.
He says, because he says, and then I think I'm going to try and get a job with a plasterer because I think one day I'd like to have my own business. I thought, well, you've just shown a real high level of emotional intelligence there because you've got that you understand where you are,
Yeah.
you understand what you need to do to get to your desired stage, if you
Yeah.
like, but you've given me a few steps there so I can see
Yeah.
I can really see someone like that has had a lot of common sense, if you want, for want of a better word,
Yeah.
spoken to him over the last 6 months from
Yeah.
our staff and others, just to really get him to understand that there are certain steps most people have to do
Yeah.
to realise their ambitions, if you like, So it's about bringing that sense of realisation to people,
Yeah. And to be in a place where they're planning their own journey and then
Yeah,
to articulate that to you and to understand the steps that they know they need to take to get there. Like that it's amazing, isn't it?
it's
And
lovely. Yeah,
yeah, and a lot of the young people that start with you would never be in a situation where they know this is the future that I want. This is exactly where I want to be or what I want to do. So it shows that the experience that they're having with your staff and with the
yeah.
course that you're delivering is helping them build confidence and get to a place where they can start thinking about the future and what they want that to look like.
It's right. I mean, and it, like you say, it's completely individually tailored to, but it's really just advice and guidance. It's
Yeah.
real guidance from people that have, from tutors that are fairly mature, fairly, that understand the need to build that rapport,
Yeah.
you know. So it's not majorly technical. It's just about getting to know that individual and trying to just get them to a stage where they improve. It's like social skills is a big one, isn't it?
Yeah.
We'll have learners when they first start, they won't speak and they won't, they sort of just grunt a little bit, and then all of a sudden you start noticing they're saying hello to you in the morning and
Yeah.
things like that. And they,
It's the
and
small
and a
wins.
smile, it's them little
Yeah.
things like that where you can see actually that person's developing, because let's face it, what are we trying to do? We're trying to train people in lots of different ways, but the end game is for them to be able to go and work with a builder,
Yeah.
and they need to do a few things. They need to have some basic skills but the main ones are really within themselves. Are they able to get up on time? So
Yeah.
can they regulate themselves? Are they able to go to bed on time, get up on time, be where they're supposed to be on time?
Yeah.
Are they people that you don't mind being with all day? Big important thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Are they people that can follow instructions? So the breakdown of that, a lot of our learners, they can't follow more than one instruction. So
Yeah.
one of the things might be if all we get them to do is to take a notepad and use a pencil to take instruction, it's a big win for them, a massive win for that individual, and it puts them in a position where they are able to function, should I say, around in our case builders when they go to work.
Yeah.
So it's about building them sort of small but workable changes within
Yeah.
people, really.
And I think something that supports with that as well is the use of the individual learning plans. So
Massively.
obviously your team you complete individual learning plans with every young person that's working with you. They're reviewed regularly. And I think that one of the most important things in the world of alternative provision is student voice. And the ILP gives you the opportunity to capture that student voice. And we all know that when referral documentation comes over, it may not give a true reflection of that young person in person, that type of character
Yeah.
that they present themselves to be in person, because quite often than not, the referral documentation that's been sent over can portray an image of a young person with lots of challenges, and they may have those, but also there's that person's personality that's missed on documentation.
Yeah.
So when they're then sitting with a member of staff and they are completing their individual learning plan, that then gives your staff the opportunity to get to know that young person more, and for the young person to give their voice about what's going to work for them, what's not going to work for them. And again, quite often that's not in the referral documentation. So that then helps your team to really think about the strategies that are going to make that experience the very best and tailored to that young person. So there's such value, I think, in using those individual learning plans,
Yeah.
and the strategies like you've mentioned around, if it means that a young person needs to use a notepad and a pen to just take some notes as they're going along, those things can be documented in that ILP, and then anybody that's working with that young person knows the strategies that are going to work for them. So I think that's really valuable, isn't it? The use of those.
Yeah, I think so. I think like you say, it captures that thing that a wider reaching document like a healthcare plan won't.
Yeah.
It won't capture. It won't capture necessarily. It can do, but it doesn't always. It doesn't capture. Oh, well, if the young person does A, B, and C, they can get to D.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it does capture that, and it allows you just to work on it. And I always say with an ILP, working on those things such as time management,
Yeah.
cleaning, tidying, as I say, it might making notes, things like
Yeah.
that. Those things for me, that is the individual learning plan, because we forget the individual bit, don't we? And
Yeah.
it can an ILP can often highlight things that they've got to do in the course. Well, I suppose it can, but more importantly, it's got to capture what that person, a target, and what that person needs to do to achieve it, and what they have done to achieve it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because that really shows you that young person's journey, doesn't
Yeah,
it? It shows
absolutely.
you
It
how
documents
they
the
got there.
journey. Yeah, absolutely. And it helps with capturing all of those soft skill targets, so like you say, because there are soft skill targets sort of set along the way, but a lot of the time we focus mainly on the SMART targets that are set every half term or term. But the use of the ILP really captures that whole journey and the soft skills as well that they're developing along the way. So there's something really important about the use of that, I believe. So you also offer the opportunity for students to engage with you to complete their CSCS training.
Yeah.
Do you want to tell us a little bit more about that?
So the CSCS training, again, that's going to be the bridge, if you like, to get them from a training centre to a job,
Yeah.
or on a building site, for instance. So what we'll do is, once they've passed their course, if you like,
Yeah.
so once they've achieved that, we'll then give them the site safety training course. They could come in and they'll sit that with the lecturer that teaches that, and they can actually do that day course with us at CBWA, and then they can sit the test at CBWA as well. So they haven't got to go anywhere, so to speak, and it wouldn't necessarily their day wouldn't necessarily look much different to how it usually does. So it's not a big sort of, it's not a big problem for them or anything like that. They come to us with people that they trust, that they understand, they know.
Which removes any of those
It
anxieties.
does. It takes the barriers away. And I suppose, for their point of view, thinking about it, it's one of them things. It's very easy to not do it. You could do a course and think, well, I've had 12 months on that course. I've achieved my diploma. I deserve a 6-week holiday now, and actually never get around to doing it. And that can sort of, curtail your job opportunities, couldn't it?
Absolutely.
Let's face it. But as you say, whilst all the qualifications are important, it's how you build that person socially is really. The qualifications might get you an apprenticeship or a job, but it's the person's personality and how they conduct themselves that'll allow them to keep that job. You know what I mean? So it's that's how I would look at it.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I couldn't agree more with that. With the CSCS cards, when they've completed that training, what opportunities does that open up for them?
So that'll open up opportunities for them to go out on site and work as a as an apprentice, if you
Yeah.
like, they'll get a green operatives card, which means they can actually gain access to any site in the UK where they can actually work with the workers in whatever profession they if they're with a bricklayer, they can go with a bricklayer or a plasterer or whatever,
Yeah.
so it gives them that access to site, really. That's all it is. And it's
That's
a bit of
really,
extra training as well, health and safety training for them, which is always good.
yeah.
And to be fair, once they finish there, especially at level 2, they should have that in their wheelhouse to complete that CSCS
Yeah.
test, because they've already done quite a lot of level 2 health and safety training at that point. So yeah.
That's a really good opportunity, though, isn't it, for them to complete that? Like you say, if they weren't to do that with you, it could be something that's easily just forgotten about or not done. So to give them the opportunity to do that and complete that with you, it just puts them in a really good position when they finish that course with you to move on to next steps.
Yeah, I mean, the way I look at it with our learners, a lot of them have got neurodiverse conditions. They've got the healthcare plans. They've
Yeah.
got, so there's they've already on the back foot, so to speak, in
Mhm.
lots of ways. So the more we can do to put them on the front foot
Yeah.
and to give them that little edge, the better.
Yeah.
And it starts with the qualifications and things like the CSCS testing, and that is just another addition that can just give them that little leap forward, that little rung on the
Yeah.
ladder.
No,
So
that's
yeah.
really good. So in terms of so like establishing good relationships with the young people, we know that that's so important for the young people to actually make good progress and to engage with the provision. It's so important for them to have positive relationships with your staff. How do you feel, because your numbers are amazing, you have so many pre-16 and now really good post-16 numbers as well. You have the engagement is unreal, you have brilliant attendance, your achievements for last year were really, really high. How do you, that all comes down to establishing sort of relationships initially, because if you haven't got the relationships with the students, none of those things, you're not going to have that impact.
That's right.
How do you feel that your staff are managing to establish those positive relationships with the young people?
Well, it's
Putting you on the spot with that
yeah,
one.
yeah. And that's probably the most difficult thing. So if you don't get that, if you don't get that rapport, you don't. If the staff are not able to build them relationships, it's never going to work with
Yeah.
we'd never have these sort of success stories that we have. I think about the pre-16 now, when you think about that now over the years, how that's changed, and
Yeah.
it's now bright and light, and you've got a tutor in there that
It's that journey as well has been such a pleasure
yeah,
to, like, I feel it's been an honor to watch that journey. So
yeah.
like your AP, obviously you've offered AP for such a long time, but where it is now, that journey has just been transformative, hasn't it? It's
Yeah, well,
amazing.
I worked with John and I so really closely in the first year or two on there, and probably drove him mad with the quality assurance as far as the qualification goes. So that was I would have drove him mad. Um,
I'm sure I have at times
and
as well, so it's fine.
and now they're completely self-sufficient between the
Yeah.
two of them, because ICE has took the quality assurance off me. So, but seeing them two develop like they have is that, to be honest, that's probably one of the nicest parts of my job.
Yeah,
It's
that's lovely.
and it's been an absolute complete turnaround,
Yeah.
and you know. It was difficult to start with, but I think that's why we get so much pleasure out of it. And I know
Yeah.
John, he's so passionate about the young people.
He really has got away with the young people, hasn't
He
he?
builds brilliant rapport. He takes he lives and breathes and that workshop and them young people. He's so passionate about it.
Yeah, he really is.
So passionate, and he's it's been a pleasure, to be quite honest. It's been really rewarding working with John and Isa. They do they just have done a fantastic
They
job,
have. They
and
really have.
you know, and to be fair as well, now with the post-16s, Gwyn and Derek, they've jumped in on the new project, and
Yeah.
they've given their heart and soul to that, to be fair, and that's not been an easy
Yeah.
first sort of full year on it. I know we did have it last year, but it was more of a part of
It was a pilot year
it
last
was
year,
more of a
wasn't it? Yeah.
pilot, wasn't it? So, but this year there's more of them, and so that could be more
Yeah.
difficulties, more challenges, more to sort of, more to get your head round as tutors, and they've really sort of, it's now part of CBWA. The post-16 is
Yeah.
sometimes I'm a great believer in, once you make that part of your culture, once it's part of the furniture, it sort of, it will be there and it will carry on being there, and
Yeah.
you will make it, or some, and others around you will make it happen.
Yeah.
And it suddenly becomes part of the business, part of the organization.
Yeah.
It's expected, and when it's expected, it keeps happening. So
Yeah. No, that's a really good way
it's
of seeing
interesting,
it.
isn't
And
it?
because obviously you did your pilot year last
Yeah,
year, and you were one of the first training providers sort of locally to do that.
yeah,
So that has put you in a good position this year, I suppose, for it is probably starting to feel more natural and,
yeah,
because you're ahead of the game on it, aren't you?
yeah,
So thinking about those relationships and rapport, you touched on how well like the staff team get on. So Isa and John work very closely together, and I think that's needed, isn't it? For
yeah,
the young people need to feel stability. They need to feel that the team that are working with them are consistent, that they get along as well, and that it's positive vibes.
yeah,
And that's definitely helped. Like the relationships, like I've said before, the relationships between John and Isa, and I'm referring to them because I've seen that
yeah,
firsthand. And the young people are really, really good. So that obviously helps with the engagement and the outcomes of the
massively,
course.
yeah,
But also, there's been sort of a complete transformation in the delivery area. So you obviously have it's all workshop based for people that are like new to the podcast or don't know what your delivery centre's like. So you have workshops that the students are working in, and they obviously have different areas where they can do their brickwork or their
yeah,
tiling, their plastering. But over sort of I'm going to say the last 3 years, that working area is completely transformed as well. And the young people have been given the opportunity to be a part of that, haven't they? And looking at what that looks like, and they helped build. So there's a classroom now, and they helped with the building of that. So, like, how do you feel? Do you feel that that's helped as well with the student engagement because they're actually designing their own working area?
yeah. I think it does. I mean, there's no doubt about it. I think once you give them that buy-in,
Yeah,
and once they feel that, it's theirs, they feel
yeah,
part of it. So, it, and actually doing a job that's real, that's not going to be taken down,
yeah,
is psychologically very different to doing a training job.
yeah,
Suddenly, it's all encompassing. The day seems to go quicker.
yeah,
The satisfaction that they get from doing it and
yeah,
seeing it, and it's theirs, and they finish it off and they'll paint it, and it's it's fantastic, and and again, it's nice to be part of that, really. And you're starting to see that transformation of that person from being only negatives said about them
yeah,
to suddenly, oh no, they are doing the training, not just doing the training, they're actually building areas of the training department
yeah,
for themselves, their peers, and the next group that's coming in
yeah,
years after. So they're actually putting their stamp on something, maybe the first time they put their stamp on
absolutely
something
that.
in a positive way
Yeah,
for, maybe,
yeah.
in their life, so
It's amazing. And to see them have that, like go through that journey of building and planning and building
yeah,
and creating something really special, to then sitting in that classroom, like when I've come in and gone in to just sort of show face and have a look around, and you see the young people and they're so content in that working area
yeah,
because they have been a part of that as well.
yeah,
And it's something truly special, isn't it?
yeah, it's
Um
nice.
so what does the future for CBWA look like?
Ah, the future. Uh, I think it looks bright. I think we've now, as a centre, we've now got we've wrapped a qualification around every course that we do.
Yeah,
So obviously we still do short trade courses, 5-day weekend courses, things like that,
yeah,
and that's great. That's fantastic. But we've got a qualification pretty much wrapped around everything now.
yeah.
So we've sort of rolled out level ones to accompany the trade courses, and
Hmm.
and level twos as well. I'd like to. We're working on the locksmiths area at the moment. That's something we're looking at developing this year. We're looking to develop. I think we'll go into renewables. I think we'll get onto solar. I think that will be
Wow,
coming.
okay.
I think
Yeah.
that would be a really good addition to the
Yeah,
business.
amazing.
Really like to see that. I've got a few ideas about that.
Yeah.
Not that I know anything about electric, so
Okay.
there might be my ideas. They might be completely useless, but I think there's a real scope for that
Yeah.
personally in construction. With the alternative provision, I think really we look at how we can develop it and how we can really utilize what we've already got in the center as far as courses go
Yeah.
for next steps for them learners. I see that being a part of it.
Yeah.
I see them looking at jumping on standalone courses and things like that as they get that little bit older,
Yeah.
and they've done our courses with us, and it might just mean that they're then young adults, and they're part of, actually they are with the adults.
Yeah.
They're not in a confined
Absolutely. Yeah.
area. They are,
And what a different
what a change.
experience that will be for them.
Yeah.
So that will be a completely different sort of experience, CBWA
Yeah.
experience, because obviously they'd be in a different part of the building, they'd be with different teaching staff, they'd be with the older learners. Yeah, again, a completely different experience for them.
Yeah.
But it is exciting. Like all of the talk, obviously I'm asking about the future and they're all really exciting things, but I think you've established such a strong offer for the courses that you've already got in every age group that you deliver to. But it is exciting to also think about, okay, we've made that and that is really strong and it's working really well, but what else can we look at offering as well? So it's exciting that you've even given that any thought for the future.
Yeah.
But I love that idea around sort of the solar and stuff.
Yeah, it'd be
That's
interesting.
yeah, really good. So obviously we have the Alterna Prestige event coming up in July, which you guys are going to be attending.
Yeah.
So you have a table booked for that. And the idea of that is so that we can really recognise all of the amazing work that training providers have done in alternative provision this year. With it being the first year of Provisions Plus as well, it's a celebration of the network and what we've created. But there are obviously lots of categories. So there's 12 categories for nomination categories for services. There's 6 nomination categories for staff. So it would be a really amazing opportunity for CBWA to be nominated for some of those awards as well, and then come along and celebrate all of the amazing things that you've achieved this year. So that's something to look forward to.
Yeah.
And just a nice way, I think, to end the first academic year of the Provisions Plus network. I think it'll be really nice to bring everybody together and just sort of celebrate that. So I know that John is really looking forward to that.
Will be. He will be, yes.
It has been a highlight of a lot of conversations when we've been together as the network for other events and stuff. So I know that he's looking forward to that. So it'll be really nice to have CBWA with us for that event as well. So is there anything else that you would like to, obviously the podcast is for the network, but there will be other people watching this as well. So is there anything else that you would like to share around developments or around CBWA on the whole, just sort of to get word out there? Or are there any other projects that you're working on or anything like that that you'd like to share?
Well, at the minute we're working. We're a bid writer because we're looking at getting onto the funding streams with the West Midlands Combined Authority.
Brilliant.
That's something we're looking at the minute. We've just done a lot of work around that. So hopefully that'll help us if we can have so much funded provision, if you like, for adult learners particularly. That would be fantastic. So that's really another direction we're looking at, sort of. It won't look any different from the outside, but it'll open it up. It'll make it a little bit more inclusive in the sense that more people will be able to come on that maybe feel that there's a barrier to them to, accessing our training at the moment. And that'd be nice. It'd be nice to give, widen the opportunity for everybody. Really, that'd be a lot nicer. So we're hoping we can work on that and be involved in that funding stream. As I say, we just, as far as the courses are going, we're running on everything. We've got level 2s, level 3s. We've even got a level 1 suite of qualifications now. We've got a bathroom and a kitchen fitting qualification endorsed by NOCN. So that's great. That's fantastic. Really little addition to the business. That is, we did that earlier in 2024, but that's really taking off now. Yeah, it's
because the site alone has grown massively, hasn't it, as well? So
directors, to be honest, he's really he's invested in it, and it's now. I mean, I think the first time I saw it only got the 1 year. It's 2 massive units, really, when you think about it. That are sort of all split up, and that we've got MVQs now. We're doing MVQs in electric, so that's another area of the business, and plumbing.
Yeah.
So that's sort of opened the curriculum up a little bit more.
Yeah.
You
There's
know,
so many
so
different
there's a lot
opportunities,
going on.
isn't
Yeah,
there? Yeah.
yeah,
And you do advertise, so especially like your adult learning. So you do advertise all of this on your socials as well, don't
yeah.
you? So you've got obviously your Instagram. So it would be worth any adults that are looking at joining any of your courses for them to check out your socials. Will you welcome them in to come and have a look around as well at the
Yeah,
facilities?
yeah. So basically, you can anybody can come down to us. Either call us first,
Yeah.
email us, or just come onto the centre, come to reception, and a member of staff will take them round
Yeah.
and sort of just have a tour of the centre. And
Yeah.
you know, we do that quite often, to be honest. So
Yeah,
yeah,
no, that's really good because there's
it's nice to that.
so much to offer. So it's
Yeah,
nice to be able to invite people in and show them around. It
yeah,
is, yeah.
yeah,
Brilliant. And generally speaking, for alternative provision, the schools would come along and support the young people on those visits, wouldn't they? So
yeah.
parents and carers can bring students along. However, it's best because obviously the funding comes from schools. It's best for schools to be involved in that process and to support them with that as well and come out for a visit.
If possible, yeah. I mean, it does vary. Usually, it'll be the parent stroke carer
Yeah.
and the young person,
Hmm.
and anybody else that's sort of involved,
Involved, yeah.
can be the school. Not necessarily. It will be with a post. It might be with a pre-16, but with a
Yeah.
post-16, it's usually parent stroke carer and the young person
Yeah.
just for the introductory meeting, so
Yeah,
to speak.
no,
Yeah,
perfect. Okay, so but that's great because people can still come have a look around and see what's on offer.
yeah,
So that's
yeah.
fantastic. Yeah. Okay, lovely. Well, thank you so much. It's been a delight having you here.
Pleasure.
I've over the years that I've worked with CBWA, I've always enjoyed working with you all. So it's really nice that you're still a part of the network with Provisions Plus, and I'm really enjoying seeing the developments and seeing sort of the direction that the business is taking. So looking forward to just seeing more of those amazing things that you've spoken about, really. So thank you for joining us today. And hopefully we'll just continue working well together as we develop moving forwards.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you
So
very
thank
much.
you very
Thank
much
you.
for joining me. Thank you so much for joining us today for the Alternative Voice podcast. We hope that you found today's discussions insightful. If you wish to find out any more information about Provisions Plus, Alternative Provision, or today's guest, please get in touch with us at info@provisionsplus.co.uk and we will be more than happy to help. Thank you.